All right. Welcome to another AMA in the Scandinavian pub. Today we have owners Unity and Das with us from the project. Welcome, Das.
Thanks for having us. Glad to be here.
Yeah, great. Could you introduce yourself with us? How did you get involved in crypto? And also, what's your role of the project?
Yeah, thanks for that. Hi, my real name's Scott Shearer. I'm from England, but I live in Poland, fully doxed, etc. I have been involved in construction project management for most of my adult life. I've run my own business consultancy since 2013. With regards to crypto, a friend of mine, Chris Seal, in 2011 asked me to get involved in something called Bitcoin that he was keen on. And I, like most people in 2011, said, no, I don't see there's any future in it. Roll forward to 2018, I bought my first crypto, which was Cardano. I love Cardano. It might have been January 2019, actually. But I bought Cardano and I've been involved in the crypto space ever since. So that's my sort of like history in this space.
All right. Then you have been around for quite a while then.
Yeah. I've watched lots of people get wrecked.
Yeah, you should have been here when the crazy time started, because earlier we kind of did ETH ICOs, and they are long term anyways, most of them. So then we of course turned to BSC with the SafeMoon bubble that rocketed. So after that, it's been a crazy 2 years with rocks, honeypots, and scams all over, but also some good ones. So yeah, crazy times. How and when did you guys start up with the Owners Unity? Is it a startup from some developers and investors that you know from before? I see that you kind of also established a company for this.
Yeah, I like the explanation will come along a bit further in, but this idea, me and not all, but most of the people on the team are professionals that I've either worked with and come across in my working life, or that I've known from school. So Shay Taylor, who is an advisor, property advisor, I've known him from school. He bought his first property at 18 and has built a multi-million-pound portfolio. Basically, like most of us, we discuss mortgages and the cost. And when we first started, it was like a 25-year mortgage. At the moment, the average is a 35-year mortgage. And I don't know, I know in Germany they do it as well, but in the UK, the government's just announced generational mortgages, so you can buy a house, die, and pass that debt on to your kids, which is lovely. So the idea, we've watched it over time, and, as a group of professionals, we've looked at possibilities of how to make changes. We did this, and we come up with a rough idea of how we could make a change, because we're all business people, so we want to make a profit, but you can't keep taking all of the revenue out of any specific ecosystem or it stops working. So what we're trying to re-educate the system to say, yeah, it's good to take profit, but it's also good to put money back into the system because that generates more wealth. Not trickle down economics, but a real, pay people what they're worth, give people an opportunity, and they will generate more revenue themselves, kind of thing. We looked prior to crypto, we looked to get this off the ground, but obviously once we go into it further, you'll see why a lot of investors weren't keen to back us on this, because if we're successful, we're gonna put a lot of institutional noses out of joint. And obviously once DeFi took off in crypto, it just gave us the perfect opportunity to meld the two together and produce what you see here, and hopefully take it forward and move the whole property space to a place that is more central and how it should be, which is geared towards the client and not towards the institution. I'm the CEO and founder, by the way. I didn't mention that in the last piece.
All right. Well, that is kind of interesting that you can actually buy the houses and you will kind of, if you have kids and stuff, that they will have the house afterwards. It's the same with kind of farms and stuff in Norway, that you have the right to do that if the testament doesn't say anything about it. But like in Norway now, because I saw through your white paper, in Norway it's kind of strict also for youth people getting kind of mortgage to buy a house or a flat. You have to have 15% capital yourself. Also, you have to have a decent income where the total buy price can't be higher, or the mortgage can't be higher than x5 on top of the housing price. And also they'll check the register for credit card mortgages and stuff as well. So it's kind of hard for young people, yeah. So I'm excited to hear more about your project and how you see yourself as unique and disruptive also in the crypto space, and how you can actually help people in real life, the fiat space.
Yeah, no, thanks. Yeah. The way that we plan to do it is by redrawing how businesses work. So although this is the initial area that we moved into because it's in a critical situation, our business model could then be utilized in multiple other spaces. So that's the beauty of what it is, what we do. With regards to mortgages, I just need to clarify, we are not a mortgage provider and we are not a lending service. There is zero lending or loaning done by Owners Unity. We've taken the process and looked at the process, and we've stripped it back to the basics. So as this is a pub, I'll explain it as I would do in a pub with my mates. The closest thing on the market at the moment would be a rent to buy. But we prefer to call it a rent to own, because we've looked at the legal systems, what you can and can't do, and we've just tweaked them a bit. This idea is really simple. You put someone in a property, they pay money towards the property, then once they've hit the target, you give them the property. No interest. So if your property cost £100,000, you pay £100,000, not a penny extra. And there's a perfectly simple way of doing it, and that is assisted with DeFi and crypto. So we're a hybrid / transitional product. The way that we are helping in the crypto space is because this, although it appears that we are a property business, this is just one utility. So Owners Unity has multiple different utilities, two of which we've announced. So we haven't launched yet, and we've got two live revenue generating utilities already. One is called CVP, which is a KYC background check-in project auditing system. So this is for clarity. We're big on transparency and security in the space. We need to clear the crypto space up to get mass adoption. You're not going to get the adoption that we need to turn crypto into what we all think it can be until we tidy the space up. So we've got CVP launched. This is the first iteration. We have two additional iterations being developed as we speak. One of them is a real world application which will be used in two different businesses to start with, which I will explain. Basically, we're using it in a content creator platform, and we're also using it for our affordability check on our site. We have a debt recovery company that is going to trial it, and we also have a traditional estate agents that's going to trial it as well. So every product and utility that we build, we plan for it to be a hybrid product, because until we can get people in the real world to see crypto as a viable alternative and show them how it benefits them in their everyday life. You know, they don't really care about staking tokens to receive 60% APY. They don't care about that. They want to know, is it going to make my bills cheaper? You know, is it going to help me put a roof over my head, help me feed my family? You know, the real life stuff. That's what we're trying to do. So that's how we're going to help people in the real world, by taking crypto and actually applying it to real world problems. And in the crypto space, through transparency and the product that we have and the products that we have in the pipeline, by cleaning up the space and making it a more transparent area, we will be able to bring more people on board that aren't going to get ripped off. They're not going to go through rug pulls left, right and centre, and therefore leave the space disillusioned and just FUD crypto. Because as we're all aware, it's the same in the real world. The best advertising you can get is word of mouth. You know, if your friends tell you something's good, you're liable to believe them because they're your mates, and you know they wouldn't 90% of the time, unless they're after a free pint, they wouldn't say stuff just to butter you up. With regards to the future of CVP, that's key. What's there? We're working with two other projects at the moment to build out something that will be launched by the end of this year. It's as revolutionary for the crypto space as our real world utility will be for the property market.
Wow, that's something. If you can kind of change the industry and how KYC is done today, and actually do it more secure also for us as investors and all the other actors in the crypto space with the new standards. That's cool.
Cheers, buddy. It's going to, honestly, we're all under NDAs, but we're all super excited, and that's why we're all pushing to get it developed by the end of this year. It's honestly, I can't. I wish I really want. I'd love to tell you guys about it, but we're looking to work with the I can't give it away. But if you were to think about contract audits and etc., stuff like that, there'd be a name that's on everyone's lips as the blue ribboned brand. That's another party that's looking to be involved in it, and outside of that, I can't go any further because I'll get slapped.
Yeah. Well, if it starts with a C and ends with a K, that could be a fruitful and very exciting partnership. Yeah.
I cannot confirm or deny anything around this product, except
I think we
that
have to buy you 5 beers and then it's okay.
this is just one. This is also just one idea of what's already in development and being built out. We have taken on an individual who will be running CVP and building out all of the different developments. And something else that we're doing, which I believe is unique, is all of our utilities are set up as independent units. So CVP is a limited company called CVP Global Limited. And that is so that as it operates in the crypto sphere, but we also have the real world aspect and utility that will be, the product will be working on both sides of the fence, so to speak. So everything we build out being hybrid, we need to make sure that we are above board. We are, following the laws and legislations of every country that we operate in. So to do that, at the moment, hopefully you guys will be able to agree with me. Crypto's just an arm of fintech. Basically, we've got this absolutely amazing thing that's been created, and all people are doing with it is just literally copying traditional formats and moving them into the space and making money off it. Now, who is actually approaching anything that would bring the mass adoption that we need to decouple from fiat? Who's actually making those efforts? And at the moment, no one is. It's all, we've got real world utility. Everyone says they've got utility. We have revenue generating utilities. And the areas that we're targeting, for instance, the energy brokerage, this is for a twofold purpose. The twofold purpose is it will be a business-to-business energy brokerage to generate revenue that goes into the ecosystem, but also we will be able to purchase retail utility contracts and tie them to the portfolio on the properties so that our clients don't have the additional burden of their utility bills. So that frees up more of their funds, because your home, it's the biggest or one of the biggest investments you'll ever make in your life. Back in the day, a home was more than just something that you worried about whether you'd pay the bills, whether it'd be big enough for your family. It was security, and we need to get the mindset back to, your property being a security. And the way that we do that is through the owner's unity payment plan.
Yeah. And how is the payment plan? Let's see. Here.
I will attempt the share screen thing with you as well. So if I can just find it. This is the return of autonomics system, because we've had to, this is what's absolutely revolutionary. And this is what, makes the whole process work. And it's a very simple approach. Again, it's about making money, but not being greedy. I can only drive one car at a time. It's nice to have a few homes, I'm sure. But like I said, we as a business aren't taking any dividends or any bonuses. The revenue generated is fed back into the system, and this is the perfect explanation. So I'll start on the left-hand side. You've got OU's Owners Unity, obviously. You've got ecosystem additional revenue. So, for instance, you've got the CVP platforms that we've already set up, and you've got the additional revenue streams like that we will discuss moving forward. Additional revenue, so we'll have an NFT marketplace, launchpad, all the traditional things that generate revenue. The funds from that go into our secondary and tertiary autonomics, which we will touch on directly after this. The Owners Unity Real World Utility additional revenue is the contract profits from the business to business energy brokerage. It's the subscriptions that come in from the content creator platform. It's the subscriptions for the real life CVP applications in the real world. These funds are all channeled into the secondary and tertiary autonomics. So that's the basics of that. On the right-hand side, you've got the Owners Unity token, which our investors purchase. You've got your primary autonomics and staking. That's your traditional buy tax, sale tax, and staking. So that's how you get rewards from that. So then obviously it comes down and you can see where the rewards are beneath that. So you've got your reward system. On the left-hand side, you've got ownership and portfolio, which will become clear. In the middle is the Owners Unity payment plan. So you've got a client moves into the property, makes the payments. Every penny we make goes into our secondary and tertiary autonomics. The profits from that is then divided in accordance with the autonomics into the reward system or into ownership and portfolio. So if you go up, if you go up the page, that's to the, This here is the basic outline of how it works in principle, and then we'll go to the breakdown of who gets what with regards to the financials. This is the strategy. So once we've got the funds in, and this is we've been as transparent as we can, but obviously there's a little bit of secret sauce that you can't give away, and this is it. Strategy one is the investment program that we use to generate the additional revenue. Obviously, we have a fixed entrance point and we have a fixed exit point, and they don't vary. So there's no risk of anyone getting, green candle happy and thinking we'll hold on for a bit longer. We've got the percentages fixed. Strategy 2 and strategy 3 are the options for the clients in situ, because every Owners Unity property has a portfolio tied to it. So your home actually provides you with a passive income moving forward. So your home provides you with an additional revenue stream. So this additional revenue stream means that moving forward, it will alleviate any situations that you could find yourself in, hopefully, help pay for a holiday. For instance, if you broke your leg and were unable to make your payments, rather than have to worry about getting kicked out or evicted after 2 to 3 months, you would be able to draw down on the funds that are in your portfolio and give you the additional cushion and security of not having to worry about getting evicted. If you lose your job, it's the same situation. We've built in as many safety and precautionary measures as we can. The tertiary tokenomics is obviously something that we will run through in the next scene. But if you look below that as well, we've got a combined reserve. So yet again, it's an additional fail-safe where you've got 50% gold and 50% BTC, which will be what we store our reserve in. And that's just to, add an additional cushion so that if there are any market forces that work adversely, we've got the additional protection there to make sure that Owners Unity clients and token holders have an additional protection in there so that we can ride out any rough periods of time. If you could scroll up. And if you scroll up one more, and we'll come back to this one because this is that's the tertiary autonomics. So we'll start with the secondary one. That's it, just there, perfect. Now, like I said, this is what makes everything tick, and this is what's beautiful about it. So, with the revenue that's generated, it goes into our investment schedule. Once it's been worked with and the profit has been created, these are the percentages that are handed out. So just imagine you're a client in a property that cost 100,000. I'll just keep the figures simple, and you pay 500 a month, for instance. You pay your 500, that gets invested. But it's not just that's getting invested as well. You've also got the additional revenue that's going in from the energy brokerage, from CVP, etc., etc. The profit that's created off that, 35% goes back to the client. So not only is the client paid £500, which is taken off of the overall outstanding balance for the value of the home, they then get an additional 35%, which goes into the portfolio to come off the value of the home as well. This will help reduce the amount of time that it takes for people to pay off the outstanding balance and then own the property outright themselves. All token holders get 5% shared out between them. Some people don't like staking, and we don't want to miss anyone out. 12.5% is for staked holders, and then you've got marketing and development, 2.5%. Affordable housing, because obviously we want to help as many people as possible, and to do that we need to build homes and create homes that are of a good standard. The ethos that we work to is everyone has the right to a decent standard of living, and everyone has the right to a decent standard of home. They're the two driving factors in what we do. And the 20% to Owners Unity is for running costs, so to cover the costs of the business. If you then scroll down, buddy, to the next page, which is the tertiary autonomics, superb. Now, we'll start with the Owners Unity token autonomics. So before, in the previous picture, it showed that Owners Unity get 20%. So say the profit for a month is £1,000, but it only costs £500 to cover the running costs of Owners Unity. We don't then squirrel away the extra £500. We put that back into the system. That gets invested, and then the profits from that are split up in this way. We've got a charity wallet. At the moment, the charity is Habitat for Humanity. That's the charity that the community voted on. 4% BUSD is returned to the token holders. The client gets an additional 15%, which comes off the value of the property. Owners Unity gets 45%, market and development 4%, affordable housing 20%, and the reserve, which we described earlier, that's to add additional security. The client return of autonomics is we take the 35% and we reinvest that. The profit of that is then divided, as you see there, 2% to charity, 4% of BUSD. Owner's unity gets 15%, but the client gets an additional 45% to come off the value of the property, affordable housing market and development. What I must stress and make clear as well is at every point of this, we take out the original investment, so that is taken against the value of the property. So no matter what happens, the client always has the original payment plan amount deducted from the outstanding balance of the property, and then everything else is then added as profit. So this is the division of the profit on top of that. With tertiary autonomics, it's exactly the same. We take out the amount that was invested, and then we split up the rest between all of the relevant parties. It's a really simple format that is designed just to take the current system as is and use it against itself, so that we can return the funds back to our holders and also to the clients, and just reduce the amount of time it takes for them to own properties, and obviously get them into properties that are of a decent standard, but also offer security, not only through the amount of time that they're in situ, but also then if they hand it on to their children, you know, the children get the benefit of the portfolio. But if they sell the property, you can't separate the property from the portfolio. So when you sell the property, the portfolio stays with the home. So whoever is in that home will have a passive income. That's the basics of how we're looking to revolutionise and change that specific industry. But there's a lot to do with NFTs as well. You know, the NFT. Oh, go on. I'll let you.
Let's just take in all the information for a moment. Maybe we have some questions also from the listeners. Anyone that gets this or do have questions? The captain, you're into property. What are your thoughts? Maybe it's just listening. But who's actually the landlords here? Who owns the properties? Is this related to the UK for now, or?
No, it's global. We own the properties to start with. That's why I said the closest thing to it, which it isn't, is a rent buy. That's the closest thing. So we're not, and if you look at the marketplace, there's enough people out there that are stuck in rental homes that are going nowhere, and the money that they spend is dead money. So yeah. I'd ask all of you, if you had an option of either taking on a mortgage where you have to pay the interest, so you're paying more money over a longer period of time, or you had the option of renting a home with no additional fees and charges that led to you owning that property and having a portfolio tied to the property that provided you with an income moving forward, I think it's a reasonably straightforward choice for a lot of people to make. And we've got people that are already looking to us to sign up with us. But also, you know, I think the key thing is it's not a mortgage or a loan. It is a rental. We make that very clear. But we have two contracts based on the UK. So the first contract is in accordance with whatever laws the countries have about rental. And the second contract is with regards to the agreement between us and the client on how we move forward on the ownership of the property.
Yeah, okay. Because in Norway, of course, everyone has a mortgage in the bank, where they pay interest of, and also insurance and water fee and all other county fees. So that goes into the portion of owning the property. If you are a landlord and rents out the property, you have to also take care of those official fees. You can always tell the people who rents it to pay electricity and TV or internet connections and stuff. If you have problems with them paying and stuff, it's quite hard to put them on the street. That's for sure. That's quite the process. But there is a lot of people, struggling to find those money to invest to actually get their own homes, even though they can pay. I heard from a coworker the other day. He pays like £1,200 a month, but the bank only calculates him to be able to pay £500 a month. So it's quite difficult for him then to get into the market to own a property, because the bank's calculator doesn't fit in, even though he can document that he is able to pay the double or more, also with the mortgage rents going up now.
Yeah, it's a crazy system. So at the moment, he's paying rent and he's getting nothing for it. It's dead money. Whereas I'm sure if he had the option to be in the same situation, but make monthly payments that were the equivalent of a mortgage rate. I mean, if you go on our website, we've got a calculator on there, so you can punch the figures in and see how it works for you with regards to your budget. We don't have any budgetary requirements. It's the affordability check that we use. Basically, we do a credit check, but we don't just work on an algorithm. We will have people looking at each check. And yes, it is time consuming, but you have to keep the humanity in the process. You know, there's people out there, I don't know what it's like in Norway, but I have friends in England that have been refused mortgages because they got a county court judgment for a parking ticket that they didn't know they had, because parking tickets aren't sent by recorded delivery and things like that. But just also, the other thing I've got to clarify is we're not looking at the bottom end of the market to start with. There's enough young professionals out there that have a good work history, they have a good credit history, they have financial stability, but for really silly reasons, i.e. the way the system's set up at the moment, like you said with your friend, they can't afford, or they're not deemed as being able to afford a mortgage, whereas they would be able to afford the payment plan. So that's to start with, that's the people we'll be looking at, because when, everyone in this project has been involved in their specific fields for 10, 15 years plus, so we know the type of people that we need to target to start with, to build a solid foundation so that we can then go out and grow and help people. Every country has different rules, different laws, different legislations with regards to housing. But two things that we found which seem to be universal are: you're allowed to rent property and you're allowed to own property. The key is the wording that you put in your contracts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the guy also told me that if you have £5,000 in credit card debt, it will be calculated as doubled by the bank. So it's quite difficult, yeah. But in terms of you doing credit checks around other countries than Great Britain or the UK, how will you actually do that in terms of the general data protection regulation around Europe and EU and stuff?
Well, our product Our first product, CVP, does all that. It does credit checks, it does criminal background checks. So it's not just a KYC product. So it covers all of that aspect. And the other thing with regards to data protection is once your application has passed the affordability check, we strip out all of the personal details and just leave the reference number for your application there. Because the way that we approve people is the applications then go to the community, and the community has a say in who they feel is safest to go into the property. So first of all, we steer the boat, we're in charge, but it's your money as well that's invested in this product. So we want you guys to have a say within reason on the things that impact you financially. We don't go as far as a DAO because, DAOs can be manipulated, I think is the politest way of putting it. But if we've done all of our checks and say 10 people pass the affordability check, we then put them through to the community, and the community decides which order they become applicable for a property in. We don't then discard the other 9. Those 10 people will all get an opportunity to move into a property. So that's the way that we plan to do that. But we do protect people.
How can an international community in Telegram or whatever decide on who should get to move in the UK or Norway?
Because you have to strip it back. If you have a global product and you have a global community, once you've put the applications forward into the community, they don't know which country you're applying from because we've stripped out all of that data. They just have the financial aspects to a degree. So we say, right, they have the ability to make payments. So we're not going to give them their personal information or how much they earn every year. It's they have the ability to make the payments. We have these 10 people, and the things that might sway it, for instance, is if some people might feel more disposed to put in a family that have never, owned a property before, family 2 kids into a property first above a professional family of just 2 individuals, or they might see it vice versa. So it's giving people the opportunity to make decisions, but obviously the grand overarching decisions are made by us, the core team. But little things like that, we believe that the community should be involved in. Like for instance, other areas we want community engagement is when we roll out products, we will give our community an option between a couple of varieties of the product. We'll give them the figures that they both produce, and then we'll let the community decide which one they want rolled out first. So these are things, they are decisions that impact the community's revenue streams, but it's not like we're allowing them to say which core product is developed first.
I see in the chat now that the captain is writing. He says that criminal background check is not allowed under different countries' law, just for real estate transactions. And like in Norway, you can do a criminal background check based on the type of security clearance or type of work you are starting. It's very complex to get access to different countries' databases. You have Experian and similar companies that do international checks as long as there is a customer relationship, bills or debt letters, and so on.
Yeah, appreciate that. All I would say is that obviously we have a lot of professionals in our team. CVP as a product provides background checks and criminal checks in most countries in the world. That is independent of the affordability check. I don't think that anyone should be discriminated against. If you need a home and you can show that you have good payment history, your criminal past, obviously if you're out robbing banks every week, that's a different matter, but your personal details and information on that aspect shouldn't really be relevant with regards to whether you get accepted for a property or not. The only things that should truly matter on whether you can afford to make payments and whether you've got a good payment history. Outside of that, it's, as far as I'm concerned, it's irrelevant what your criminal background is, whether individuals might like that answer or not. I don't think anyone should be discriminated against solely on that background when this is a different type of transaction. We're not looking to employ people. Everyone, like we said, deserves the right to a decent home.
Yeah, of course, but I personally wouldn't like at all if I got a former pedophile into my neighborhood, or a guy that killed his wife 15 years ago.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And when you do a background check, you can't. You have to have that balance. The one balance is, in some countries, like your friend just said, you can't do a criminal background check for properties. So how would we find that information out? So again, we do what we can in accordance with the laws and legislation of each individual country. So whilst no one wants these people moving next door to them, if you can't do the searches to check these people out, then there's nothing you can do. And there's a difference, in my opinion, there's a difference between a paedophile and 99.9% of other offenders. What my personal views are on that are independent of what the company's views are. You can't let your person. I have very strong views about things like this. I'm a lifelong conservative. Not that that's personally relevant, but my views on law and order are quite stringent, I think, is the best way to put it. But then on the other hand, like I said, I don't see, if someone's been arrested for smoking a bit of cannabis now and then, that doesn't mean anything to me. But in the countries we can do a criminal background check, we would do a criminal background check, and severe crimes would obviously ban you from getting access to the project, because there are enough people out there that we can help without having to reach those extremes. With regards to the countries where you can't do checks, if you end up with a paedophile next to you, it's not because we've put them there, it's because we wouldn't be able to do the checks to ensure that we didn't put anyone like that anywhere near any other human being.
Yeah, it's very strict in Europe. It's not like the US where you can get any information you want. So, yeah, in terms of that, I know what you're saying and where you're coming from. I have a wife also that is intensive care unit nurse, and they have to also struggle with their own dilemmas because they have to, of course, help people no matter what their background or background checks or information they have or don't have. All right, I think I get it. But you will kind of need a lot of funds then yourself as well to actually go and offer those housing around the world.
Not really, not as much as people think, because I had some very good advice from another project leader who, we was coming up with all these formats on, right, we'll go to these people, look for investment here and there. But at the core, we're trying to change the system works. And if you then go to the institutions that support the current system, you're not really making a difference. All you're doing is perpetuating the current system. So we're going to start small. For instance, the energy brokerage, the average in the UK, I can only base this on UK figures, but in the UK, the average salesperson in an energy brokerage has a target of between £10,000 and £25,000 per month. So if you take out the amount of overheads and covering all of the costs and that, you're left with about 5,000, between 5,000 and 15,000 a month in profit. If you get to a point, and it should take 3 to 6 months to have 8 salespeople. If you have 8 salespeople generating between 10 and 25,000 pounds a month after costs, you're looking at somewhere between 40,000 and 120,000 a month. So that business on its own, that's before we put it into the tokenomics. So we should, within 6 to 12 months, be in a position just through that business on its own to generate enough revenue to purchase, 1 or 2 homes every couple of months. That's just one arm of the business. We have other revenue coming in, and the additional revenue will all be going into the system to generate the funds to purchase that. So we don't want to borrow large amounts of money. We're building this from the ground up because we want the system to be geared towards our clients and the token holders. It's going to take time. It's, the problem is a massive global problem. It's not going away anytime soon. So you can build an empire from a single home if you do it correctly and you're focused. So what we've done is we've built out an idea and a set of solutions to that idea that can be generated from within the project itself, and therefore it's less susceptible to impact from the traditional economic institutions that wouldn't want a product like ours to be successful.
Yeah. All right. Shall we go through the autonomics?
Yeah, sure. We provide this is a brief overview, and it just shows you how we work. The other bonus of our token and the nature of it being hybrid is we provide up to 7 passive revenue streams for our token holders. So you've got the traditional ones, which is your sales tax and your buys tax, which you see on the right hand side. So you receive a percentage of that to you guys as token holders. Then as the secondary tokenomics shows, you get the 2 revenue streams. One goes to stakeholders, the other one goes to all holders, and that obviously goes through to the token holders. So that's 4 revenue streams. You've got staking, which is another revenue stream, and then you've got the revenue stream from the tertiary autonomics, one from the owner's unity and one from the client, which also go to the token holders. So that's 7 revenue streams. And what I'd like people to consider is with those revenue streams, they're not tied to the buy-sell pressure of the market. So once we have stability in the product moving forward, if there's another black swan event, which there will be, we all know how the market is cyclical. A lot of people see their token value drop by 90, 95%. The volume goes right down, and the rewards that you get, aren't really worth it. The beauty of our system is that you're actually receiving funds from the real world projects being pumped into it, and they're BUSD rewards. So even when the market's low, you're getting a constant stream of rewards in. And if you look at how we've structured the project, we've gone for energy and we've gone for housing, which are two very robust industries, because there's always more demand than supply for housing. And, 99% of every country uses gas and electricity. So we've used our experience to pick industries that offer the most stability and security for the passive revenue streams from the real world to the token holders. That's how that works in that aspect. There's the basic buys and sales tax. There's the different revenue streams that go in. So as in that drawing, you can see you get 7 revenue streams. And I don't think there's many projects out there that can provide 7 revenue streams to their token holders.
No, that's very smart and how you do it, because, like you say, when the initial pump and introduction phase are over and you go into the growth phase, if you don't see that much grow and the volume goes down, then basically there's not much revenue for the holders. So doing it like this might be very smart.
Like I said, we've already gone live with the energy brokerage and with CVP. So whilst they won't generate massive amounts of revenue from day one, we're gearing up so that in 6 months, in 12 months, we'll be in a position to have a decent amount of revenue coming back in, because it's all BUSD stable coins that will be rewarded. People said to us, well, why don't you use more out, because it will do the buyback and burn. But this is a long-term generational project that we are planning. These situations don't get resolved in a short period of time. And if you look, and this is something else for people to think about, if we are anywhere near as successful as we think we're going to be, at some point, the amount of rewards and passive revenue you're getting from your secondary and tertiary autonomics will far outweigh anything that you could get from the buy-sell volume. And we're already working on a secondary market for how we are going to manage that moving forward.
Cool. So in terms of the different pre-sales and stuff, I guess you're now into the private round?
We are, yes. We're just going through that now. We'll have we've got at least another 2 revenue generating utilities to announce prior to the launch. We think there'll probably be 4, depending on how the testing goes on the final 2. Then we'll have pre-sale, and then we'll list a couple of days after.
Okay. So you see yourself then listing in October?
Yeah, first or second week of October, yeah.
Yeah. So why do you think that we should join this round of private sale then, with the higher risk?
With regards to higher risk?
Yeah, it's always kind of higher risk doing private or seed sales. So basically you invest your money in earlier rounds to get something more out of it, or be a floor holder or whatever.
Yeah, I agree with that. Our vesting schedule, we've got a vesting schedule. It would be remiss of me not to mention it, but we've kept it pretty short. So it's 20% on listing and 20% for the next 4 months. That's just to make sure that everyone doesn't sell on day one, which rarely happens. But it also is a short enough period of time so that you're getting your money back and you're getting a return on your investment in a shorter period of time, hopefully. With regards to the benefits of joining the private round, we have partnerships with two NFT providers. We are issuing our private round holders each of those NFTs. One of the NFTs is by a company called Greedy Gramps that are adding real world utilities to their NFTs. So they have agreements with clothing companies, ticket marketing companies, etc. The second NFT is with a gaming company that are releasing games. So you'll have the opportunity to utilize the P2E version of that. We're also tying tokens to those utilities. Sorry, not tokens. We're tying utilities to those NFTs too moving forward. The NFTs that we're tying to the gaming one are designed around the additional products that are being produced by that company and also by the additional partnerships that we have too, which I can't go into in too much depth until we've announced them all. But we're working on a lot of partnerships relevant to the field that we're working in.
Okay. What's the minimum and maximum contribution from a holder?
Minimum is 0.5 and maximum is 20.
20 beans.
Yeah, we want to give it. We're trying to do it differently, so we're trying to give everyone a chance. So that's why anything lower than 0.5 doesn't make any sense realistically. But we've for seed, for instance, we kept a small section of seed separate, which is rare, where we let people get in at 0.1. Just because we're trying to make everyone have the opportunity to get in the earlier rounds rather than it just be all of the whales. Not that there's anything wrong with whales, I hasten to add. We've got a few.
Yeah, but like if 10 people listening in here now would put in 20 beans each, what then?
So if 20 of you put 20 beans in, what do you mean? How does that compare with? Well, you get treated the same as everyone else. That's the whole idea. We're trying to, take a different approach. If you all put 20 beans in, you would get the 2 NFTs. You would get access to the VIP lounge, which gives you early access to information about development, information on the partnerships, a little bit more interaction with the core team around how the process is moving, working forward. But we're trying not to set up too much of an us and them kind of attitude in the whole space. That's what we're trying to move away from. The more that you invest, the more that you get out of it. Also in the rewards that you get as well. So there's additional benefit. The more you put in, the more you get out. That's clear. But outside of that, if we don't try and just change the approach that is being used currently, then crypto isn't going to go anywhere. It will stay a branch of fintech. And we have a roadmap that is, the next 10 years are covered, put it that way, in our roadmap. It's a very detailed roadmap. And we have pilot schemes that we're working on with specific corporations to test decoupled projects. So, for instance, I'll just touch on it briefly. If you can envisage a sealed system which only has one fiat conduit, everything inside this system works on crypto, and it only has a single fiat conduit, which is how it trades certain aspects of the products that are produced through that system, and then you then replicate that in other areas. They all trade with each other in crypto, but each one only has the one fiat aspect in conduit. And you need that because the people that are involved in these systems obviously still need to go out and live their lives in the real world whilst using fiat in areas that crypto isn't available. But that's something that's being worked on by people.
Okay. Sounds good. Did you reach the hard cap of the seed sale?
No, we didn't. We haven't. Those figures there were based on us purchasing properties, which we've gone about it a different way. So what we've looked to do now, like I said, is get the revenue generating utilities live so that we can rely on the product and the utilities themselves to generate the revenue to purchase the properties. When we first started this, the market was a lot more robust, I think is the best way to put it. And we take on board advice. You don't get anywhere if you don't listen to people. So when this was first worked, the seed sale was based on a different set of parameters than it is now. And this is not the final iteration of the white paper, but we didn't hit seed sale. We haven't hit private sale either, but we have enough to do everything that we needed to do. So it's worked out better.
So how much have you gathered then?
Total?
Yeah.
We have 200 B&B approximately in total between seed and private. And out of that, we have 4 revenue generating utilities. So instead of wanting to bring in the revenue to just go out and purchase properties, we pivoted to getting enough in to create the projects that we needed to generate that revenue. That's what we've done.
Okay. Great. So yeah, let's see here, the distribution of buy fee. Yeah, we've gone through that. And the sell fee, we've gone through that too. So yeah, in terms of the NFTs then, the marketplace, what will you use the NFTs for, or basically except for those things in the private and pre-sale rounds?
I know the NFT is the key, and what we've got planned for the NFTs. I'll touch again. It's one of those areas that I could go into. Right, focus. Basically, the NFT will be the key to most of our ecosystem. So the NFT will have the repository of all of the documentation of the properties tied to them. So the portfolio will be tied to the NFT. The deeds, the title deeds, all of the certification, the electrical testing certification, your gas certification, everything will be attached to that NFT. With regards to accessing the metaverse, you will need the NFT to access the metaverse for the 3D modeling in the metaverse. So when you go into the metaverse, say you've got your property, you've got the 3D model of your property, you will have the NFT to access that. Once you go into your property, you'll have 2 sub NFTs, which are designed for children that don't have full access to all of the utility that the main NFT has, and those are designed specifically. So when you go in, you'll see a couple of portals in your property on a wall. One of the portals will be for the gaming, so your children can just click on and they've got access to a full gaming realm in there, and they can go do what they want. So that gets engagement of your children into that space. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing is a question for another day. Then with regards to you, on the wall there's a portal. It brings up access to all of the items that you could want to, upgrade or update your property. So you can do refurbishments or extensions, etc. There's also the other aspect of it, which is you then switch over to the marketplace, where all of the tradespeople on there, all of the tradespeople are KYC through the VeriCheck system, and basically you can get a lot done. I could go into further detail. I won't. With regards to the real world, the NFT can be used as security. That security can then be used to access the DApp, which manages the system on your home. The system on your home works with things like the voltage optimization, which will manage the different levels of currents that are running through your appliances. If an appliance is burning off too much energy because it's faulty, you'll get an alert and an alarm that will tell you that this specific application in your home is faulty. It will then connect you to the tradesperson that will come out, the maintenance will come out and fix it. The NFTs are massive, absolutely massive with regards to, and that's with regards to the hybrid aspect of what we're doing as well. We're also looking at switching everything and moving crypto into the mainstream. So with regard to the NFTs, there are certain aspects of business that you can use the NFT for too individually, but also with regards to maybe not having to use tokens for certain areas and aspects. It's honestly, we're doing so much, and this is part of the bigger road plan that we've got mapped out. The ideal end game for us is to produce homes that are run on blockchain technology, and what I've described to you is just a small part. I mean, the technology's out there already. It's just bringing it all together and utilising it. So if you're building a small, development, you can run that development on wind. You can run it on biomass. You can run it off of water. You can run it off of solar. You can build desalination plants anywhere because they run on solar. So you're not restricted to the areas. You can start moving people into areas that would be considered less favourable. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it's using the technology to, advance what we can do, but also they're all green, so they're all good for the environment. We can then cut down on the amount of fossil fuels, etc., that are used, and actually move this whole problem forward. We can find resolutions to a lot of issues by firstly embracing the technology that's out there, but secondly moving crypto into a space where it's more adoptable by more people, because I am a bit of a maximalist and I believe that fiat is in trouble, but crypto can't replace it until it's actually shown to be capable of doing a lot of things that everyday people can see the benefit of. And I'm sorry if I went off on one a bit, but the opportunities of what we can do, not just in this project, but the adoption of even the basic format of this project being utilised in different areas. Yeah, it's the options are, there's a lot can be done if we can just re-educate people from having the view that you have to, get to where you're going by climbing over people, and try and get them to realise that you enhance everyone's standards if you pull together and do it, by helping people up instead of, like I said, by walking over them. And one of the main ways of doing that, as far as I can see, is by redistributing the wealth. And to do that, you take the current system that's out there and you tweak it. And rather than taking everything out, you just redirect some of that money back to everyone. And hopefully that makes it better.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have a quite long-term vision, I would really say that. And everything is connected to, of course, crowdfunding by investors in the crypto and other also investors on the outside, I guess. It's kind of a hard times for a lot of countries now, both with the energy crisis around the world, not just Europe or Scandinavia, but throughout Europe, Africa, United States, and so on, the high inflation rates and stuff. So hopefully that gets sorted out, the war in Ukraine and everything ends, so we can get our buying power back, because that's of course also issues into crypto, that people now have to use more of their income on other shit like electricity and mortgages and household expenditures and even more.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's a lot going on, which is why I think a product like ours is perfectly placed to make some difference in the marketplace. Because with the portfolio, half of the things you've just discussed there, with the portfolio, like I said, you can tie utilities into that, so that frees up funds for other things. If you then form form partnerships with, supermarket chains, etc., where you can, once you're a big enough company, or even if you just use the traditional loyalty cards, but you tie that into the portfolio so that that's something else that they're not having to pay for. There's so much room to, just like I said, it's about switching how people perceive things, because it's geared to make sure that we all stay subservient to the greater corporations and institutions, and we need to rethink how we look at these things and not try to upset too much. Obviously, not try to upset them too much, but just give people an option.
Absolutely. Okay, I see the team is of course fully doxed, like you say. You all have kind of LinkedIn profiles. That's good. Yeah, so you're 9 people then, yeah. So if I go into your profile now,
there's more than 9 of us. It's just certain businesses you can't, announce that you're doing what you're doing, and it will affect your daytime job, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, I see, Scott, that you don't have too much connections on your LinkedIn, only 65 connections.
Yeah, I'll set the LinkedIn up to go ahead with this, because I don't use LinkedIn traditionally.
Or do you have another profile for the other things you do in life?
I do not have another profile. Anyone, feel free to go through it and have a look and see if you can find another profile for me. I am 53 years old, so I don't use LinkedIn just because it's not something that has been relevant for me or beneficial for me in my life.
Yeah, I also see some other team members don't have too much connection on LinkedIn. Okay, I also see. Yeah, I do see connections are kind of low on the team members. That is, yeah, not a very green flag for me, because if you put out LinkedIn profile, you should have also connections in terms of the business world. If you are highly skilled business people, I would guess you would have more. Like myself, I have a couple of thousand, and I'm in Norway, you're in the UK, so I would expect more. But okay.
And I understand that. Sometimes all I would say is if you're used to a more traditional format of networking, you utilize a more traditional form of networking. Like I said, I'm 53. I am au fait with technologies. I'm not behind on them, but I still like to pick up the phone and speak to people. For instance, a funny anecdote from Barry, for instance, one of Barry's friends has got the president of Togo on speed dial. So, but you won't find that. You won't find that on his LinkedIn profile.
No, LinkedIn is more than that, though. I kind of use LinkedIn to keep up with the companies, my contacts, what kind of interests they have they changed their jobs, their interests, positions, what's going on in the space. But I also do, of course, the traditional networking, meeting people, business to business, sponsorships, and stuff. So I do a lot there, but LinkedIn is actually nice also to put out positions and HR stuff. And it's been around for like 2007.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's been around a while, and I am on it. Maybe I should utilise it more, but as I said, it's not something I personally have found benefit to. But that's just a personal preference of mine.
Give it a shot, because you're a real company, and there's a shitload of crypto influencers and investors, big time, on LinkedIn as well. Not for memes or or other things, but for real businesses, it's actually good. Did anyone say something?
Yeah, I said the LinkedIn is good for the credibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, it's getting late. We've had 1.5 hours almost. So, is there, or not if there is, but what's the best kind of advice to follow your project? Is it Telegram? Is it on Twitter? Do you have newsletters, or what's the deal on keeping up to date?
We've got TG, Twitter, Discord, Instagram, Reddit, all of the socials. We are doing press releases. I would say TG would be best at this moment in time. Twitter's okay as well. They're good ways to keep up with what we're doing at this moment in time.
Okay, nice. So, has there been any audits on the smart contract and stuff?
Yeah. All of our contracts. So our pre-vesting contract has an APY attached to it. So anyone that invests in the private rounds during the vesting period, you receive an APY on the tokens that are being held. That's been done by Interfi. Our smart contract and our staking contract have all been done by Interfi.
Great, I know those guys. They're good. So at last, because
all I would say is if you know Interfi and you're okay with them, keep an eye for a post that we will be putting out in the next day or so.
Okay, cool. What's your security message adopted from kind of getting hacked or breached in your marketplace and NFTs and stuff that contains information?
What kind of information? My brother has a doctorate in cybersecurity. He works for Southwark County Council in the UK, and for specific reasons, he is not allowed to be doxxed. For I suppose you can guess why.
Yeah, of course. I'm just thinking about there's games and stuff all over the world, Axie Infinity and platforms that kind of have breaches and liquidity pools are drained and the NFTs get stolen and so on. So like other people can get the ownership to properties and stuff.
No. If you have the extra security you've got, for instance, if someone was to steal your NFT and you've got the electronic records to it, you can still have it in the legal documents that to move the property, you need to have the physical documents. So that's one additional security. Secondly, we've got blacklisting. We'll have blacklisting built into the NFTs. With regards to the liquidity pool, we're locking our liquidity pool and we're in talks with Everrise. If you go on their site and type in Owners Unity, you see that we are already on there to lock our contracts and our liquidity pool with them. So we're taking as many safety measures as we can. We've got anti-dumping in our smart contract. We've got anti-whale measures in our contract, so that there's limits to what each wallet can hold. But, if we're all, being frank with each other, a bad actor that wants to gain access is going to gain access. All we can do is put as many barriers in their way as possible, which is what we've tried to do, not only in the aspects of what we're doing in the projects, but also in the coding in the contract. So we're taking measures to do what we can to make sure that our investors are safe.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are you familiar with the ShadowFi exploit that was a few days ago? There was some issue with the contract and it was audited, but no one saw it in the contract. Is your contract safe in that matter?
As far as we are aware, yes, we are safe. But again, if someone wants to get into a contract, there's no such thing as a 100% safe contract. Our contract, our primary contract, the token contract, has, like I said, it's been audited. You can go check and you can go read on it, what's in there. There isn't much that can be done outside of how the contract is written with regards to that security. But we're also putting that contract into a third-party contract with Everrise. So again, there are always, you have to do trade-offs for risks and rewards. So it will go, you'd have to get through their additional layer of security to get to our contract anyway. And if they've gone to all the trouble to do that, again, there's only so many things you can do to protect your project and to protect your investors. We're putting as many layers of security in there as possible to make sure that nothing happens. There were no exploits. But it's a constant battle, isn't it? Of, you come up with security measures that you put in place, and the bad actors are, coming up with ways to get around it. So it's not a static situation, and I think that's why it's good that you upgrade your smart contracts and you do migrations, because that's another way that you can add additional levels of security as and when, certain aspects of contracts advance, there's technical advances. We are also looking, like I said, at some point to possibly negate the need for tokens, but that's a conversation for another day as well.
But down the road,
thank you for answering. I liked the part when you said about migrating, because when a contract has been out for a while, bad actors can find a exploit by, but thank you.
Yeah, correct. And with the new contract and stuff, you should maybe then also kind of do like Certic and also use their shield option and have some insurances if you do get fucked, that not our investors get fucked. That there is
we're down. We've already been in touch with. These are all things that we're working on. I'm not sure how much of a protection it is realistically, but we're down. We haven't even launched yet, and we're looking likely to be medium risk on Shieldcoin, and then we'll go down to low risk after 3 months when you've passed the data over for proof of concept. We're literally, one of the first things we've done was we got in touch with Yeshua and put ourselves forward for that. We've had people look at the product. We've had people look at the contract. We've taken advice on what we should do and what we shouldn't do. And that's another good thing about the space. If you're in with the on the right side of the fence, so to speak, everyone's really friendly and really helpful. Everyone wants the space to do well. So obviously we look to support what we consider, good like-minded projects. And if we see issues amongst ourselves, we say, maybe you should look at that, you should look at this. And that's what we're involved in. And it's a really good place to be in.
Nice. Thank you for good answers. Okay. Is there any more questions from our listeners? No? Okay. Then I guess that concludes our AMA tonight. Thank you so much for joining, guys. Very nice that you had the time also with us to be able to do this tonight. Really appreciate it. And you have a promising thing going on here for a very long time. So I think a lot of us would be interested in going into depth and also going in with some beans here and there.
Well, thanks for having us and thanks for listening. I know sometimes, because I'm really passionate about the topic and I'm passionate about moving crypto forward. If you guys join the TG, we answer questions all the time. There's, we as the core team are just the guardians of a concept, but it belongs to everyone. One of you guys could have an absolutely amazing idea that moves this forwards, in a direction that we've not even thought of. So yes, we are the core team. Yes, it was a concept that was created by us, but it's not just ours, it belongs to everyone. So even if you don't invest, but you have an idea that you think can help us help change the way that the market works, we will always listen. If you don't listen to people, you don't get anywhere in life. So thanks for having us. And any questions you have at any time, feel free to ask.
That we will. No worries. We are very curious people, so you will hear from us.
All right, thanks, guys. Take care.
Take care of yourself. Enjoy the rest of your evening in the UK. Thanks you.
Poland.
Poland, yeah. Yeah, it's late there as well then.
It is. All right, take care, gents. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.